At the outset, I have to congratulate the Ministry of Skill Development and Chemical Petrochemicals and also the FICCI for having come together to organize this important event. I'm sure it's going to make us wiser at the end of the 2-day deliberations that are being planned and researched. And I was just listening to a very thoughtful observation by Mr. Tiwari, who was saying that skill का मंत्रालय उपलब्ध है आपके लिए हर तरह से, लेकिन है क्या कि to coordinate with the skill ministry also you have to have skill. तो वो unless there is an aptitude and you know what to coordinate with, and I'm saying this on a serious note. वो गालिब का शेर है कि बस के दुश्वार है हर काम का आसान होना, आदमी को भी मैसर नहीं इंसान होना, तो हर आदमी अपने आप को इंसान भी नहीं कह सकता. So the point is, it's hardly a guarded secret that skill and innovation are at the heart of every new initiative that has been taken up by this government, particularly after 2014, because Prime Minister Shri Jitendra himself has a huge aptitude for that. But our mindset is not developing that skill. And incidentally, that aspect was not touched during the panel discussion. How to skill the mind and the mentality that has, got conditioned over the years. Because otherwise, yes, without any second opinion, it is the skill and the innovation. And when we talk in the context of chemicals and petrochemicals, the area is a sector which has a bearing on agriculture, which has a bearing on healthcare, which has a bearing on infrastructure. And again, when we talk of R&D, it's not something new. You have to be constantly in the research and development mode if you have to sustain, if you have to grow, if you have to move on. Whether it's a green tech, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's hydrogen. But first of all, I think each one of us, all these stakeholders sitting in this room and also beyond, must realize is that all this was also there, the same resources, same diversity, and therefore what is now the difference that we have to talk about it. And we never had a dearth of the human resource. We had some of the best of the brains in India. Like the other day I was talking about launching that Chandrayaan at Sriharikota. We said we had youngsters like Sarabhai carrying launcher on the carriage of a bicycle. No resources, but dreams were in plenty. So what has happened now is, and that is something that we have to realize to make the best of it. Possibly the shortcoming was at the level of the policy planners, at the level of the political dispensation. And incidentally, without being modest, I would say in the last 9 years, that favorable milieu has been provided by this government headed by Mr. Modi. You have the liberty to experiment. You have the liberty to take path-breaking initiatives. You have the liberty also to break the taboos of the past as long as you can convince the authorities, as we did even in case of space. 3 years back, we opened the space sector to private participation. Within 3 years, we have 150 startups. The other day when I was there for the launching, and a media person asked me, he said some of the opposition parties have said that this was happening even earlier. Why so much of beating out ground now? So I asked him, you just tell me, have you been here before? He said no. I said that is the difference. You were forbidden even from peeping inside the gates of the Satish Dhawan Space Center Srinagar. And that day we had 1,000 media persons at large moving all over. And that is broken the taboos of the past because we had an arrangement in place, a leadership in place which could support that. Otherwise, normally, the the political leadership, and so also the bureaucracy finds it comfortable living in the status quo. यहीं से एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी और फिर रिटायरमेंट और 5 साल कुछ और कमीशन बीच में कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट करते करते दुर्घटना हो गई तो बट दैट इज नाउ हैज बीन प्रोवाइडेड अ बफर टू दिस गवर्नमेंट. That is, I think, what is making difference. That, so how best to make use of it? Now it's up to us. As I said in my opening sentence, the skill ministry is there. Mr. Tiwari is making a very passionate plea, but do we have the skill to coordinate with the skill givers? And the difference, if you see the last 9 years of the Independence Day addresses of Prime Minister Modi, because Independence Day address of India is watched keenly by the entire world. It's like a declaration of intent of the government in place, whichever the party, whichever the Prime Minister. It defines what the government stands for, what it plans for the year to come, the years to come. Each of the independence address was marked by one or other important technology-driven or skill-driven or innovation-driven declaration. We didn't happen in the past. 2014, you started off with Swachhata, and everybody was wondering, the Prime Minister talking about toilets. You were expecting lofty platitudes about the world scenario and India's role. But that cleanliness drive has led you to get over statistically so many diseases which were resulting out of unhygiene, and you have pulled out, and statistics say so, 13.5 crore people above poverty line. The next year he was talking about digital India. The subsequent year he was talking about Gaganyaan in his independence. After that he was talking about deep sea mission. And mind you, he spoke about deep sea mission twice, 2021-22. And I think that was also an attempt to create awareness among the people, because even now people don't know what is deep and what is sea, and where is this mission going to land. But it's for us to realize that the entire resource is going to be from ocean resources, from the Himalayan resources, where you come, when you talk of chemicals, you talk of bio, you talk of petrochemicals, and the bioeconomy. Do you know, before 2014, of course we talk of the overall startups and we take fancy in saying the number of startups in India was 350, 400, now it's more than 1 lakh, so many unicorns. But if you take strictly bioeconomy, I don't know how many of you would be aware, we just had 50 startups. It is embarrassing even to say so. We had just 50 biotech startups in 2014. The number is now gone up to 6,000. We had just $1 billion US dollar bioeconomy in 2010-2014. Sorry, 10 billion. It's now gone over to 80 billion within 8-9 years. And the projection is that it will be 100 billion by 2025. So when we talk of the petrochemicals, the biological resources, we have to first realize the importance of bioeconomy. And bioeconomy was a subject which was hardly talked about in this country. And now, when we have this event, the entire focus is on the resources which are in one way or the other related to it, whether it is the biofuels or the bio-based chemicals, which will result in waste to wealth or circular economy as it's being described now. I think Mr. One of us said, let's more into IT, the startups. Now, why has that happened? That also happened because we didn't have the insight to peep what was lying inside my home. I was seeing what I was made to see. I was made to see IT because somebody showed me from the West. The concept of startup came from West and straight away landed in Bangalore, which was an IT hub. So it got fixed in our minds. Skill means IT, innovation means IT, startup means IT, which is not so at all. You may not be an IT graduate or a scholar to be an innovator, to be a skilled in a particular sector, or even to be a startup. And when I say you saw that because you were made to see by an extraneous factor, but you didn't see what was there around you. We have the huge bioresource in India, which is exclusive to India. And that's what this event is dedicated to. You know, our two richest resources, when we talk about Amit Kal and Mr. Tiwari was saying, have we asked ourselves, how are we going to reach that pedestal? Where is that value addition going to come? Naturally, if you tell your spouse the next year on your birthday I'll give you BMW, so also you keep wondering मैं पैसे कहाँ से लाने हैं? या तो बहुत ज़्यादा अपस्केलिंग हो जाएगी, इंक्रीमेंट हो जाएगी, कोई इधर उधर कपड़ा करूँगा बीवी को खुश करने को. So have you ever thought, where is this? It is going to come from two sources. One is the one that we are discussing. And entirely, in fact, both of these sources are connected to the subject today. One is these huge Himalayas, full of biodiversity, aroma, herbs. The other is the oceans. We have the longest coastal area, 7,500 kilometers long. We have an ocean called Indian Ocean. No other country has. Why? Did you ever ask yourself? No. Because इंडियन ओशन अंग्रेज ने नाम रखा, वो भी इंडियन ओशन रखा. लेकिन आपने कभी अंग्रेज से पूछा? क्या किसी ऑस्ट्रेलियन से पूछो? योर कंट्री इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया, योर आइलैंड इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया, योर कॉन्टिनेंट इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया, वाई योर ओशन इज नॉट ऑस्ट्रेलियन ओशन? So we are being led by what we are, the cues that are coming from extraneous sources. We are not picking up cues which are running around us. And this, and now of course, I'm glad that this government has also started Samudra about 2 years back. The huge materials, minerals, metals that lie at the bed of the sea, right from Odisha up to Maharashtra, is going to be such a huge wealth which no other country has. Your entire skill has to be dedicated to that. Your entire startup mission to that. Your entire innovation to that. You may not be an IT scholar. You may not be even a graduate. Now, for example, as I talk of Himalaya, we have had this purple revolution, which has been initiated by Aroma Mission. We have over 3,000 youngsters associated with the agri sector, whom you can also call agri startups by the current physiology. I think hardly any one of them is a graduate. But they know the skill of doing it. And as I said, the government is very favorable. We are providing every kind of technology. If you grow lavender, all the source material is provided to you. Hand holding is done to develop the product. And to carry the product to the market, the tie-up is also done by the government. There was so much of ease of business has been sought to be brought in, which is, I'm sure, going to increase in the times to come. And therefore, we're talking of the health sector. The other day I had that ambassador from, I think, Switzerland. He wanted to initiate some project with us and wanted some support. So I said, in what area you want to? So he said, sir, we have yet to decide. Can you suggest us? I said, I need not. You name the disease and I have it. We have all the infectious diseases, tuberculosis, leprosy, everything. And at the same time, we have also those diseases which are prevalent in the West, with diabetes, with the heart attack, with cancer, with this disability we have. It was such a philosophy and this discussion which is surrounded around biofuels and bioresources is actually exclusive to India. And I think we have a very favorable world attention also that we are fifth economy, we have jumped 40 places in the global innovation index. And then the question of ecosystem, before I conclude, as was again being mentioned in the panel. I'm just speaking of cues from what was talked about in the panel discussion, because I usually don't speak from the talking points given by the secretary. Because then I'm not speaking, I'm speaking for the secretary. So why the ecosystem? The ecosystem is to develop only if each one of us considers himself a stakeholder. So that doesn't happen. We are good as, Indians, Jugadu Indians, we are good at stealing the eco from someone's lab, but not creating an ecosystem. Now the COVID vaccine happened, we were the first in the world to come out with a DNA patient. The leading biotechnologists who are of the world acceptance now, world recognition, are unheard of. So all of them came to me, said, we will not talk about it. I said, because you didn't blow the trumpet. He said, the company which has manufactured is known all over India, also across the world. I said, yes, because they had to sell it. So for them, it was a compulsion. They had to make noise. Look here, we have come to the market, the first vaccine, this, that, so that they could attract the client, attract the customer. But you, like good researchers, have kept yourself confined to the labs. And the entire trial was done not far off. It was done in Faridabad. We have a very state-of-the-art institute called Translational Health Institute. So, to create an ecosystem, important is that glare of glory should also be shared by all. So I have not told them, at each stage of your trial, you make a little noise. Tell we have crossed first stage of the trial. So that when finally it happens, you also are somewhere, find a place as a part of the team. Because otherwise, since we are still in an evolving society, we will not be ready to give the credit to the person who would have actually initiated it. Though the person guarding the gate is equally serving the purpose. But till then, we have to make each one of stakeholders, and most of all the industry. We do a trial, then reach out to the industry. And that is something which I think the government sector will also have to come out of that mindset. Involve the industry right from the beginning. Even, and I think Fiji can have an important role in that. Give them the liberty of doing some mapping. Let them decide what kind of project they want, what kind of innovation they want, what kind of, because that is important for sustainability. The next stage will be sustainable startups, sustainable economy. And since India is already laid down before itself very ambitious goals, net zero by 2070, so we also have to live up with global parameters, because we are looking forward to assume a global role. And therefore, I think towards the end, the two important takeaways would be involving the stakeholders, most importantly the industry from day one. Make them equal partners, also make them equal investors. Because when industry invests, it pinches. Knowledge partnership may not pinch, but money partnership pinches. So be hardened. And second, create awareness. Awareness not within this room, even outside. This year we had a khadi industry turnover of 1 lakh crore, because I keep doing all those things for my own learning, so I was trying to understand, so that's not part of my department. I was amused, I wanted to actually understand that the designer khadi garments being sold abroad. So I asked them to hold a camp in my constituency. They are providing huge subsidy, 35-40% subsidy, and the rest of the amount that you take from the bank, if there is interest, the interest also paid by the Khadi corporation, whatever you have in the government.